The cream-colored cruise itinerary sat on the kitchen counter like an insult. 7 nights, all-inclusive, Royal Caribbean's elite harmony class. It read in gleaming gold script. My mom had even circled the spa day in pink gel pen, as if that made the betrayal easier to swallow. I stood there, reading it over and over again, trying to process what had just happened. My college graduation, the culmination of 4 years of hard work, scholarships, late nights, and ramen noodles, was this Saturday. And my family, all of them, had decided to board a cruise the same day. I'm sorry, sweetheart, but Amanda really needs this trip. The divorce has been exhausting, Mom had said without a hint of irony. Amanda, my older sister, who had flunked out of 3 programs, crashed to cars, and still somehow managed to be the center of every conversation. Amanda, whose idea of exhausting was a canceled nail appointment. Amanda, who had always been the favorite loud, dramatic, dazzling Amanda.me. I was the quiet one, the reliable one, the one who got straight A's, picked up groceries without being asked, and cleaned up after Amanda's tantrums. I had learned early on that being good didn't mean being seen. It just meant being useful, and apparently, even that wasn't enough to earn one seat at my own graduation. I'm not asking you to give up anything, Emma, Mom said, misreading my silence for compliance. You'll still graduate. It's just that someone needs to stay and watch Lily while we're gone. I blinked. You're asking me to babysit instead of walk at my own graduation? Mom sighed, like I was the one being difficult. You know how much Amanda's going through. You're strong. You'll understand. That word strong was a weapon in our house. It meant, we won't protect you. You'll survive. I went to my room, shut the door, and sat on the edge of my bed for what felt like hours. The cap and gown hung neatly from the closet door, my honor cords draped proudly across the hanger. For a moment, I saw myself walking across that stage. Dean's List. First in the family to graduate college. Maybe even a job lined up in New York if I nailed the second round of interviews. But none of that mattered to them. They hadn't even asked what I wanted. They'd already packed. That night, I didn't sleep. I just planned. Friday afternoon, the house was buzzing with excitement. My dad was printing luggage tags. Amanda was yelling on speakerphone about a facial appointment, and Mom was showing Lily a picture of the cruise ship. I get to swim in the big pool, right, Grandma? Lily asked. Yes, honey. There's a kiddie slide and an ice cream bar. We're going to have so much fun. I stood by the counter, sipping coffee. Calm, silent, Emma, Mom said, brushing past me. Don't forget Lily's bedtime is 8 sharp. The emergency contacts are on the fridge. Oh, and there's frozen lasagna in the oven. I nodded. And thanks again, sweetie. You're such a good sport. Good sport. Right. At TPM, the Uber XL arrived. Suitcases were wheeled out. Goodbyes were rushed, and Lily clung to Amanda's neck before being handed off to me like a backpack. Be good for Auntie Emma, okay? Amanda cooed. Mommy's going to relax for the first time in a year. I watched them pile into the car, laughing, sunglasses already on, as if they weren't abandoning me on the most important weekend of my life. But I didn't cry. I went inside, put Lily down for a nap, and made the call. Hi, yes, I need to cancel a booking. It's under Amanda Richardson. Reservation number? 1 moment. I had taken a picture of the cruise email when no one was looking. Everything I needed was right there. Yes, I understand the cancellation policy, I said, calmly, sweetly. But I'm Amanda, and I'm canceling. We've had a family emergency. No reschedule. Please issue the refund to the card on file. The agent was hesitant but compliant. After all, I had the confirmation number, the birth date, and the last 4 digits of Amanda's card. Years of cleaning up her mess had taught me a lot. 1 click, 1 polite confirmation. Just like that $12,000 cruise? Gone. They found out an hour before boarding. I let Amanda's calls go to voicemail. 23 missed calls. 14 texts from Mom. My dad even tried facetiming something he hadn't done since I won a spelling bee in 6th grade. But I didn't answer. Instead, I pulled out my gown, ironed it carefully, and packed Lily's bag for a sleepover at my friend Mia's. Then I booked a hotel room downtown. A suite. Graduation weekend rates were brutal, but I didn't care. I wasn't staying home. I was walking that stage even if no one was there to clap, but I wasn't prepared for what came next. When I told Mom I wouldn't be attending the cruise because of my graduation, her voice turned cold. Emma, don't be dramatic. Amanda's had a tough year. This cruise is her reset. You know how she gets. And besides, she needs a break after the whole custody issue. I stared at the wall in my tiny New York apartment, gripping my phone so tightly my knuckles turned white. I graduated top of my class, Mom. I gave up Christmas and Thanksgiving for study groups. I've been working 2 jobs and tutoring to survive. Can't you just show up for one day? Silence. Then, you'll understand when you have kids. She hung up. I sat on my futon, numb. Amanda had been spoon-fed support her whole life financially, emotionally, logistically. When she got pregnant at 20, they paid for her apartment. When she dropped out of college, they said school wasn't for everyone. When her boyfriend left, they babysat Emma Rose every weekend while Amanda found herself on yoga retreats and wellness getaways. And me? I was the spare daughter, the safe bet, the silent one, until that night. I stared at the cruise booking confirmation Amanda had bragged about on our family group chat, a 7-day luxury escape with spa credits, excursions, and all-inclusive perks. I remembered Amanda's text. This cruise is exactly what I need. Hope Emma can watch the kid like always. I looked up the booking details. Amanda had used Mom's usual login and her standard password Amanda1986. Of course, the cruise was in 3 days. I was still technically listed as a guest, even though I'd said I wasn't going. The confirmation had all our names. I don't know what came over me, fury maybe, or grief for all the birthdays, holidays, and moments I'd spent alone. For all the applause Amanda received for doing the bare minimum, while my real efforts were invisible. I called the cruise line. Hi, I'd like to cancel a family booking, I said calmly, giving them the confirmation number. Certainly. Are you the primary contact? Yes, Emma Richardson, I said, glad Mom always made me the emergency contact on travel bookings because I was so responsible. The customer service rep hesitated. It's non-refundable at this point, but we can issue a credit or a partial refund to the original cardholder. That's fine. Please issue the credit. Email confirmation to M. Richardson 89 at that night. I received a barrage of texts. Amanda, Emma WH80 did you do? I just got an email saying our cruise is canceled. Tell me this is a mistake. Mom, I don't know what's gotten into you, Emma. I'm absolutely shocked. You've always been the stable one. How could you sabotage your sister's one chance at peace? Dad, your mother is in tears. Fix this. And then, silence from me. I didn't reply. I didn't explain. Instead, I prepared for graduation. I had worked too hard to let their chaos ruin this. I rented a cap and gown. I picked out a navy dress and borrowed heels from my roommate. On the morning of commencement, I stood in line with hundreds of students. I scanned the crowd for a familiar face, but I knew there'd be none. I told myself it didn't matter. Then I heard a voice. Emma Richardson? I turned. It was my thesis advisor, Dr. Moreno, holding a small white envelope. The dean asked me to give you this. It's unexpected. I opened it. Inside was a note. Miss Richardson, due to your academic excellence and campus leadership, we would like to invite you to deliver the student speech today at the podium. If you accept, please meet with Dean Franklin before the ceremony. My heart stopped. I was the commencement speaker. I stood at that podium, sunlight filtering through the campus trees, and delivered a speech. I hadn't written but had lived. I wasn't the loudest student. I didn't win popularity contests. I wasn't always seen, but I worked. I showed up, even when no one else did. And I learned that quiet strength is still strength. You don't have to be applauded to be powerful. Sometimes your worth is measured in the silence between the noise and the effort no one sees. And that's enough. Applause thundered. That night, I returned to my apartment, tossed my gown on the chair, and made myself pasta. The cruise never sailed. Amanda unfollowed me. On Instagram, my parents went radio silent, and I finally felt free. 3 weeks after graduation, while my family was still ghosting me and Amanda was subtweeting about jealous, bitter sisters, I got a call that changed everything. Hi, is this Emma Richardson? Yes, this is Maria Lancaster from Ashcroft and Bell. We received your application and portfolio. Would you be available for an interview this week? Ashcroft and Bell, the consulting firm I had dreamed of since freshman year, the place that only recruited from Ivy League campuses and hired fewer than 1% of applicants nationwide. I blinked. Yes, absolutely. I'm available anytime. We scheduled it for Friday, the morning of the interview. I wore my second-hand blazer and sat on a Zoom call with a panel of 5 high-level executives. They asked about my thesis, my crisis consulting simulations, my part-time experience managing logistics at a nonprofit. I answered calmly, clearly, but without pretending. I didn't mask the fact that I had built everything myself. By the end of the call, Maria smiled. Emma, I'll be honest. We rarely see someone with your level of maturity and clarity under pressure. Expect an offer email within 48 hours. I didn't wait 48 hours. It came that night. 6 figures. Full relocation package. Signing bonus. Executive track. And then I cried, not because I got the offer, but because I knew that if my mother had called me that day and asked me to pick Amanda up from a spa appointment, I would have dropped everything again. That I still wanted. Their approval, their love, their acknowledgement, but maybe I didn't need it anymore. 3 months later, I was living in a glassy high-rise in Chicago, building strategy decks for Fortune 500 companies and leading onboarding for new hires. I had a team, a title, a life that was mine. And then, the invitation came, a thick ivory envelope with familiar handwriting. You are cordially invited to the wedding of Amanda Rose Richardson to Nathaniel Brooks, at the Kingsford Estate, Vermont. My name was printed on the outer envelope, Miss Emma L. Richardson, but inside, on the RSVP card, the checkbox next to, will you be bringing a guest, had been crossed out, in pen, boldly, and in Amanda's voice I could already hear it. We just didn't want you to feel awkward, I mean, you're still single, right? I stared at the envelope, then tucked it into the drawer. But fate has a wicked sense of humor. A week later, at a business gala in Chicago, I met Ryan, sharp, quiet, devastatingly intelligent, head of tech investment strategy at Ashcroft's VC division. We ended up at the same table for the awards dinner. He spilled his wine. I cracked a joke. We talked until midnight. He texted me the next morning. Would you be interested in attending an extravagant family wedding with a sarcastic +1? I stared at my drawer. The wedding invite still sat there like an unopened insult. I typed back, only if the dress code includes emotional armor. The wedding was in 6 weeks. I arved +1. The venue was every Pinterest board Amanda had ever made. Sweeping lawns, white roses, violin quartets, and champagne towers. I wore navy. Sleek, powerful. Ryan wore a gray tailored suit with cufflinks. That probably cost more than my rent in college. My parents barely recognized me. My mom blinked. Emma, you look grown. Amanda saw me from across the lawn and narrowed her eyes. She smiled, but it was tight. So glad you made it, she said through gritted teeth, her hand looped in Nate's arm. We were worried you'd pull another stunt. I smiled. Wouldn't miss your big day, Amanda. After all, weddings are about family, right? Ryan, ever the charming consultant, shook Nate's hand and offered Amanda a compliment that made her blush and scowl at the same time. We took our seats. The ceremony dragged. The vows were insufferable, but I stayed until the reception. That's when it happened. Nate's best man stood up for his toast and began recounting how Nate met Amanda. And when he told us her sister worked at Ashcroft, we were like, what? I mean, we'd just signed that $1 million onboarding contract with them thanks to Emma's team. Small world, right? A hush fell. Amanda froze. My mother blinked. My father turned. I smiled gently and raised my glass. Surprise. The reception hall had fallen quiet, the kind of heavy silence that sucks the air out of a room. Amanda's smile froze, her perfectly curated image cracking like cheap porcelain. My mother's jaw tensed. My father coughed into his champagne. Nate, bless him, looked confused. Wait, he said, turning to Amanda. You told me your sister was still job hunting. That she'd, what was it, taken some time to figure things out after school? Amanda's face paled. She was. She stammered. Last I heard, Emma was just doing admin work or something. Ryan leaned toward me, voice low and amused. This is awkward. Should I tell them you're technically my boss on the upcoming strategy rollout? No, I whispered back, sipping my wine. Let them stew. The rest of the night unfolded like a carefully choreographed implosion. One by one, family members came up to me with wide eyes and forced laughs. So you're with Ashcroft now? I thought Amanda said you weren't really working. Wow, 6 figures? Good for you, sweetie. And then came my mother. She pulled me aside near the dessert bar, her voice tight and brittle. You could have told us. I did, I said calmly. Every time you asked me to run errands for Amanda or drop everything to babysit her drama. I told you I had things going on. She looked away. We just thought Amanda needed the attention more. I let that hang in the air. No, I said finally. You thought she was worth more. I could have left it there. Let the discomfort settle in their chests like cold stone. But I wasn't done. The next morning, I sent Amanda a little gift, a handwritten note and a copy of the most recent Forbes issue featuring Ashcroft's top young executives under 30. My name was printed under the headline, Disruption in Disguise, How Emma Richardson Quietly Changed the Consulting World. The note simply read, Congrats on your wedding. Hope married life treats you better than you treated your sister. Emma. Days passed, then weeks. No calls, no texts, until the voicemail. Came late one evening, just as I was finishing up a board presentation draft. Emma, it's Dad. Look, your mom and I, well, we didn't realize how much you'd accomplished. We're proud, truly, and we're sorry if we didn't say that before. Pause. Your sister. She's struggling. Apparently Nate's family is asking why she lied. Things are tense. We just want everyone to get along again. Maybe you can come over for dinner this weekend? I stared at the screen, letting the words soak in. Proud, but only now. After the title, the article, the prestige. I went, but not alone. Ryan came with me, dressed in effortless grace and charm. Amanda opened the door and nearly flinched. You actually brought him? She said. I smiled. Of course. You wanted family, right? Dinner was tense. My mother kept pushing food around her plate. My father asked stiff, polite questions. Amanda barely looked at me. Halfway through the meal, Ryan brought up a recent strategy we'd used for a troubled startup client. My father leaned in. You understand that stuff? I designed it, I said. He blinked. You did? Emma leads restructuring on Fortune 500 crises now, Ryan added. She's got more clients than I do. Amanda dropped her fork. I leaned back. Don't worry, sis. I won't outshine your honeymoon photos on Instagram. But here's the part no one saw coming. A month later, Ashcroft announced a confidential acquisition, a struggling mid-sized luxury brand with poor leadership, ballooning debt and internal HR disasters. Nate's family business. Ashcroft bought it for pennies. I was assigned to lead the restructuring team, and when I walked into the conference room in a steel gray suit and heels sharp enough to cut diamonds, the look on Nate's father's face was priceless. Miss Richardson, he said, awkwardly standing. You're leading this? Yes, I said. I believe your daughter-in-law called me just the spare, so it'll be poetic to help clean up the mess she married into. He swallowed hard. I smiled. 6 months after Amanda's wedding, the Richardson name carried a new kind of weight in town, not because of Amanda's marriage into the Hollister family, not because of my father's wine club or my mother's charity events, but because of me, Emma. The spare, the overlooked, the invisible one who never made a fuss. Until I did. The restructuring of the Hollister brand was swift and surgical. Their luxury line had been bleeding money due to nepotism, ego-driven expansion, and zero digital strategy. In our first meeting, Nate sat across from me, jaw tight. Amanda was beside him, pretending she hadn't once told everyone I was basically unemployed. I just don't understand why you have to be involved, she said coldly. Because your father-in-law signed the paperwork, I replied. Ashcroft owns 67% of this company now. Nate spoke up, trying to regain control. You're enjoying this, aren't you? I leaned in. Not enjoying, executing. You see, when people like you ignore women like me for long enough, we don't disappear, we multiply in silence. I slid a thick presentation folder across the table. Here's the 60-day plan. If you want to keep the company from being broken up and sold for parts, you'll follow every word of it. Amanda didn't open the folder. She just stared at me. You were always so quiet. I had to be. You never listened when I wasn't. Outside the boardroom, the whispers started. At tea, family events, in industry circles, on social media. Emma Richardson? She's leading the Hollister turnaround. She's with Ashcroft, right? Total shark. In the best way. Did you know she's dating Ryan Ellison? I didn't comment. I didn't need to. The work spoke for itself. 3 months later, the Hollister brand was back in the black, leaner, smarter, digital forward. Nate and Amanda were sidelined into ambassador roles, pretty titles with no power. The new CEO was a woman I personally mentored. I wanted Amanda to see what leadership actually looked like. Thanksgiving came around. Again, another year. Another Richardson family gathering. Only this time, the tone was different. I arrived late, wearing a tailored green coat and a quiet smile. Ryan joined me, looking like he'd stepped out of a GQ editorial. My mother met us at the door, visibly flustered. "Emma," she said, wringing her hands. "I wasn't sure if you'd come." "Of course I did," I said. "Family, right?" My father tried to fill the silence. "We've been reading about your projects. Incredible work." "Really?" Amanda stood across the room, arms folded, expression unreadable. "You win," she finally said. I tilted my head. "It wasn't a contest, Amanda. You just made it one." She looked away. Later that night, as we were leaving, my mom pulled me aside. "I'm sorry, Emma, for all the years we didn't see you." I studied her for a moment, then nodded. "I'm not angry anymore," I said softly. "I just know my worth now." She reached for my hand. "Can we start again?" I smiled. "Maybe, but not from the beginning. From here, where I've already risen." Outside, Ryan handed me my coat. "You handled that better than I would have," he said. "I had years of practice." He grinned. "You think they'll ever fully accept it? That you're the star now?" I glanced back at the glowing house, then at the city skyline behind it. "I don't need them to," I said. "I was never the spare. I was the seed. And they watered everyone else until I grew tall enough to cast a shadow." He laughed. "Damn, that's poetic." I laced my fingers with his. "Let's go home. I've got another acquisition call in the morning." "Another struggling legacy business?" I smirked. "No, rising brand run by women who know their power." As we drove away, the wind whispered through the trees, and the stars above blinked in approval. The spare was no more.